Hello everyone and welcome to the W Show. I'm Sarah Ollie and it is great to be back for the 10th instalment of AFLW. Alongside me, Riley Beveridge. Looking forward to having you on the show throughout the year, Riles.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to being part of the show. It's very exciting heading into a 10th season and it's more wide open than ever, I reckon.
And plenty of news stories to cover as well, but back as she is every year. Sarah Black, hi Sarah.
Hi Sarah, how are you going?
Very well.
We sit around waiting all year for AFLW, then it just rushes through and we're here, we're ready to go.
And a lady who needs no introduction, but I will give her one because she's a previous league best and fairest, a former skipper for Collingwood, and we're going to see if she's okay at golf in a little bit. It is Bri Davey. Hello, Bri.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. Looking forward to talking footy.
Now, we're always asking ourselves, what do these players get to in their off-seasons? It's a long one for W players, but I did mention the golf. Let's see if you're as good with the Sharon as you are with the golf stick. I'm not sure about this, Bri. Do you want to let us know what was going on here?
Oh, look, I just thought I wouldn't bring my best on this day. Just didn't want to show up too many of the girls. So give them a bit of a chance. That one flew into the neighbouring houses. So yeah, I think we're all good though.
Will you get back on the golf course again anytime soon?
I actually am so competitive. So the fact I wasn't good at this straight away really frustrated me. So yeah, I'll be back out there. Don't worry.
We've got a massive show coming up. Plenty of news to get to, including Bri's injury, her pies, our predictions as well. We're going to look silly as we always do. But off the top, Riley, some big news, a line in the sand moment, I should say, when it comes to the AFLW fixture and a bit of certainty.
Yeah, a bit of certainty now in the AFLW competitions, as we revealed on afl.com.au earlier this week. And as you mentioned there, the AFL has drawn a line in the sand under several key components of the AFLW season moving forward now. Now, it's important to note these aren't final. They're subject to the AFL Commission meeting on Thursday, which is virtually happening as we speak. But we think this is going to go through, and it's as a result of a lot of calls for significant change from key figures within the AFLW. So the AFLW's competition committee met last Wednesday. In amongst that, I'm told that several senior experienced figures within the competition committee called for things like for conferences to return, for promotion relegation to be within those conferences, and for the season timing to move forward so it mirrored the men's competition and both round ones started at the same point in the year. But as we mentioned, the AFL's just drawn a line in the sand and said no. The grand final will always be in the last weekend of November, at least for the foreseeable future, to mirror the men's competition always being the last Saturday in September. The format of the competition isn't changing. We're not splitting up the league. We're not going to promotion relegation. That's staying as is as well. But most notably is the timing of that grand final. So there's a bit of ritual, so there's a bit of tradition in the AFLW fixture, and the rest of the season timing will work back from the grand final, essentially.
Promotion and relegation would be wild, wouldn't it? But Bri, having the certainty of a fixed date, knowing when the grand final will be played, that must be music to your ears.
Yeah, I think so. I think just in terms of planning for clubs, players individually, and even the league itself, I think it gives that, again, that gives that tradition as well.
Yep.
And people can really lock that in, fans can really lock that in. So I do like the idea of a sort of set-in date for a grand final. Whether that changes in the future, if the AFL do feel at some point we need to move the league into a different slot. But I think having a bit of consistency is a really good thing.
So we are just 7 days away from the opening match at Icon Park. Carlton and Collingwood, a throwback to that first ever match. Bri, unfortunately you won't be out there on the field. What's the update with the ankle?
Yeah, so just had a bit of a struggle with the ankle foot sort of area over the pre-season, off-season. So hopefully back in the back half of the season. We'll miss the opener, which is frustrating and hard. But yeah, definitely looking forward to getting back when I can.
What's been the biggest issue with the ankle? That's a very generic term. You know, is it your range of movement? Is it a pain issue? Why are you not on the track at the moment?
Yeah, just there's been this sort of pain, and I've dealt with pain before, but this sort of pain, it hasn't been too nice. But yeah, it's sort of been in the ankle area. They've had to sort of go through a few different scans and a few different things to sort of get to the bottom of it. But at the moment, we're sort of back on track. It's just more a matter of getting conditioning into the body to try and get back out there now. So yeah, starting to run and build that up now.
I can imagine it's frustrating not having a definite timeline on it. I mean, you are confident you'll play this year though?
Yeah. Again, it will look like probably second half of the season, but confident that I'll get up, and the club is supporting me as much as they can at the moment to make sure that happens as well.
We've got our fingers, toes, limbs, everything crossed for you, Bri, but plenty of players are racing the clock to be fit for round one. There's always such a focus on that round one starting date, isn't it, Sarah? But Ash Century is certainly one to watch, the number one pick there with some hip awareness, I think.
Hip awareness is the official term. We'll get to Ash in a little bit. Geordie Allen, of course, another one of Bri's teammates, such an important player there at the Pies. There's a Gold Coast trio at least who are all pushing for round one. Bella Lewis we haven't seen the new West Coast captain yet. She's been carrying an ankle complaint. Taylor Harris more likely to miss than feature in round one. And those Freo girls down the end there, Tanisha Kikoak and Bella Smith, not the biggest names going around, but they are Fremantle's forward line. Those two are their main two targets in attack. So if they're missing in round one against Port Adelaide, it's going to make things a little bit difficult for the Dockers.
It certainly will indeed. And Bri, there's of course a big conversation around you and the captaincy, stepping down and handing the reins over to Ruby Schleicher, who we know will do a superb job as well. But what prompted the move? Was it your call, the club's, or a bit of a mutual one?
Yeah, look, the club had sort of spoken to me probably March, April time about where my body was at, and they sort of felt it was the right thing for me to sort of be able to step away from responsibilities from captaincy and really focus on the body and get that right. But I mean, look, for me, there's no better person to sort of take over the reins than Rubes, as you mentioned. She's not only just a great person and really well respected by everybody at the club, but also a great footballer and in good form at the moment.
You're a proud person, Bri. We all are. I'm sure it would have been a little bit of an individual blow. I know you want what's best for the team, but from a personal perspective, to have something that you cherish so much like the captaincy taken away from you, it must have been pretty tough.
Oh, look, I mean, I'm a pretty passionate person as well, and I really love the club and I really love the team. And I think there's part of me that felt like I had more in me to give in that space, and I still will without official title. Of course, I'll still continue to help guide the group and get out there and lead as well in an unofficial way. But yeah, it's I think, again, at the time, I understood the thinking and I respect the decision. But and like I said, I think Rubes will do a great job. But it's a bit of an identity shift in some ways too. I was skipper at the Blues and skipper at Collingwood, but again, just looking forward to be able to support the team going forward now in whatever way that I can.
Tradition is so important, isn't it, when you're building a league? This is the 10th instalment of AFLW, and we're going back to where it all kicked off at Icon Park. Carlton, you were in Blues colours that night back in 2017, and Collingwood at Icon Park. I mean, these are two sides that didn't play finals last year, Bri, and that is a knock on the season opener. But how important is it to have tradition and something to look forward to? We just spoke about it with the grand final certainty. This is a fixture that everyone can turn up knowing it is going to be these two old rivals. It's important, right?
Oh, definitely. Again, it just builds that atmosphere. I think Carlton and Collingwood, obviously, for as long as we can remember, has been such a big rivalry in the men's, and then in the women's we sort of started that off, and things have sort of ebbed and changed through the years of AFLW. But I can't wait for round one. I hope it's a lockout again. I'd love to see a repeat of Andrew Dillon having to lock people out. Obviously it was Gil then, but hopefully we have Andrew there just trying to push everyone back. But really looking forward to round one.
We mentioned Ash Centra before. She's dealing with that minor hip complaint. Does she play round one, do you think? And then tell us a little bit about Ash and how she's sort of motored through pre-season, because she looks very exciting.
Yeah, I think at this point she'll be a test up until round one. We're hoping she gets up, but we're also not going to put too much pressure on her. We know that it's important to have her for the longevity of the season and also just look after her for her career too. But she's such an exciting player, already plays well beyond her years. I think her composure and her vision, she's able to just sort of see a play out the corner of her eye and hit them lace out. It's something, these young players coming through, they have these skills and this vision that they've been able to sort of put into practice since little kids because they've had the pathway. But I can't wait to see Ash come out and do her thing, and whether that's round one or round two, whenever that is. But hopefully, we see her running out round one.
Going to be pumped to see her, and as you said, she's one of those kids that is now playing who's gone through all the pathways. Such a talent to watch. And speaking of talent, plenty at the Gold Coast Suns Academy. Riley, this is a massive talking point in the men's game. I mean, some people don't like the fact that the Suns and the other northern states have first pick, I guess, when it comes to their academies. But look at some of the names there, because Sonny Lappin is one that stands out to me. That is a familiar surname.
It certainly is. So this is the Elite 8 from Gold Coast. Clubs that I've spoken to this week now genuinely believe that Gold Coast could have 8 of the top 30 picks in this year's draft come through their academy system. These are the eight names. As you mentioned, Sarah, there's been a lot of angst in the men's competition around how much talent Gold Coast and the northern clubs are getting through their academies. I think in the women's competition, though, clubs are almost buoyant about it. They're really excited around how they can profit from it as well, just through the different mechanisms of matching bids. But as you mentioned, Sunny Lappin is a name that a lot of clubs are watching. She's had an unbelievable champs campaign for Queensland. You can see her, she was best on ground here against South Australia last weekend. She's eligible to go to 3 clubs at the end of the year. It's a familiar name, the Lappin name. She's obviously part of Gold Coast's academy, but her father, Matty Lappin, played 55 games for St Kilda and 196 games for Carlton. So she's got a decision to make. She's the Bond of this year's draft. Started across half forward, went into the midfield, and now she's really flourishing in that midfield role. Clubs think she could be, if not a top 3 to 5 pick, potentially the number 1 pick in this year's draft. So the race for Sunny Lappin is on. Carlton packed its bags a few weeks ago and went chasing the Sunny. They went up there to Queensland. So I'm told the meeting involved their head of development, Lloyd Peris, who's new to the football club, recruiting boss Matthew Burton, and the club's academy manager, Chris Dixon.
No coach?
They went... No coach, no football boss, but I'm told they will be meeting in the next couple of weeks as well. But those 3 went up to meet the Sunny Lappin and her family as well. St Kilda's got plans to fly up to Gold Coast in the next couple of weeks to try and woo her as well. But that 3-club chase for potentially the number 1 pick is certainly on.
Blues chasing the Sunny. I don't mind it at all. Hey, Sarah, there's going to be some rule changes, and one we're going to focus on ahead of season 10 is this stricter interpretation around holding the ball. I feel like there's a bit of confusion here. So take us through some examples. What should we be looking out for in season 10?
So it's not so much a rule change rather than a different interpretation of the existing rule, and just a bit of a reminder to players to keep the ball moving pretty much at all costs. This move has been made to speed up the game. To help those things. So things that the umpires will be looking for include sort of like a dive and drag of the footy. That's going to be a real key indicator that the player is not making a genuine attempt to keep the ball moving and to keep it in play. No genuine attempt will be the term we will be hearing a lot of. There's some examples here from the weekend. And Bri, I'm not sure whether, we see sometimes players ham it up a little bit and really emphasise that. I'm getting rid of the ball. I'm getting rid of the ball.
What do you mean?
As a midfielder who's often involved in these situations, are you working on your acting skills or are you trying to almost just drop the hot potato?
Yeah, look, a bit of both, I think, Sarah. But no, I think what it will really emphasise is like shape around the contest and around the ball. You can't get too sucked in, I think, as those surrounding mids, because we know that it's just going to have to get popped out. And like we said, they're hot on it. So there's really no opportunity to try and hold it in at any point, really.
And the other, I just quickly say, Sarah, there's ruck nominations. They're going to have to speed the rucks up. If you nominate and you're not there, too bad. We play on. And also the throw-ups. If they're close to the boundary, they're going to be moved in 10 metres to avoid that secondary stoppage.
Nice. Now, Riles, in such a short season, clubs are looking for any advantage they can get. The Tigers are looking to the men's comp and specific players to get theirs. 7th last year, they're looking to go up the ladder. Tell us more.
Yeah, Richard, have you been using corporate boxes at Marvel Stadium over the last couple of weeks to watch men's games and to learn from a couple of men's players? I'm interested to see your take on this, Bri, in terms of whether or not you've done this before. But they went to Hawthorn St Kilda a few weeks back and they were watching players that were relevant to their roles. So the inside mids were watching John Newcomb, the wingers were watching Massimo D'Ambrosio, and so on and so forth. So the players drove that, the club facilitated it, and it's been happening over the last couple of weeks. But I think it's indicative more so of Richmond using men's programs to try and learn. So I've been told that a couple of the women's players have been sitting in on men's line meetings in recent weeks, both individually and as a team. And it's even stretched to the point where one of the men's draftees, and we know they had so many early picks in last year's men's draft, has been paired with Katie Brennan in a mentoring role throughout the year. That's from a high performance perspective. So they've basically been following Katie Brennan around to learn about how she prepares for games, what she eats leading up to the games, her nutrition, how she goes about her training standards, all that sort of stuff. So that's just how they've sort of taken that sort of one club approach, Richmond, in terms of how can the women's program learn from the men's program and what can the men's program, in terms of their young draftees, learn from their best players in the W program as well.
Does that speak to you, Bri, hearing that?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I think, like you mentioned, it's important it goes both ways. And, Katie Brennan, playing a bit of a mentor role to these young draftees coming through, it's good to see that crossover. And it's not sort of just the men mentoring the women or vice versa. There's a bit of a crossover in both ways.
All right, we are back for season 10, and so too is Gemma Bastiani with the deep dive. She's been looking at all these practice matches, and these are her 3 key takeaways.
Practice matches are done and dusted. It was our first real chance to see what teams are made of coming into the 2025 season. The 3 key takeaways I've pulled out. The first one, Paige Scott is the pack-crashing forward that Richmond has needed since Courtney Wakefield retired in 2022. Their ability to hit the contest in the forward line just adds a point of difference in that forward line that has a lead-up target like a Katie Brennan and that key forward target like a Caitlin Greiser, who's playing a little bit more ruck this year. They are also able to start at the half-forward line, come up to the contest, and then come back and be that physical presence in attack to balance out those other forward options. I really like the addition of Paige Scott to this team this year. The next one, Essendon's midfield, I'm a little bit concerned. They don't have their number one ruck in Steph Wales available. Unfortunately, did her ACL in October last year. We don't know when she'll be back. They're also trying to run a couple of young guns through the middle. Grace Bellany, their top draft pick, and Amy Gaylor, but I'm not sure that they've quite got the balance right. I know these highlights are against North Melbourne, but it's still a little bit too easy to clear that ball from contest. So that's a watch for Essendon this year because their midfield has usually been their number one part of the ground. And I think Ash Maloney, this is my big call team, I think Ash Maloney can win the AFLW BNF this year. Last year was the equal leading goal kicker, so her ability to come and win the ball in attack, kick goals, we know that she can do that. Did it last year with an under-strength Geelong side, so the midfield wasn't quite there as much as we've seen in the past. This year, they've got the ability to have a Georgie Prespakis at full tilt. Sending the ball to someone like Ash Maloney doesn't have to do as much of that other work and will just have it on a platter. So I think Ash Maloney can be the player to beat. Plays a little bit like a Jeremy Cameron, a Buddy Franklin too. So comes in, has the quick hands, contest, then kicks the goals. I love what Ashlyn Maloney is throwing at us this year. Let's see if any of it comes true.
To be sure, to be sure, to be sure. Imagine if we had an Irish League best and fairest. Come on, guys, I had to go there. I like the buddy comparison, so I'm great to see Gemma back. Speaking of best and fairest, Maddie Prespakis knows a thing or two about them. She has 4 club BNFs, a league BNF. She sat down with our colleague Sophie Welsh ahead of season 10, discussing what it's like to be an unexpected parent after her partner Sophie had a baby girl.
You know, watching someone grow a baby and the different changes they go through in their life and, you know, different emotions every day, but being able to support her from close was really special, and she did an amazing job. She's an amazing mum. But yeah, I think Essie, we were kind of saying the other day that she smiles a lot at me, so we reckon I'm probably her favourite at the moment. She'll probably call me mum, but that's for her to make that decision.
And you can catch the full chat tomorrow on afl.com.au and the AFL Live app. Now, Sarah, we've been looking at some clubs and predicting where they might go this year. Geelong, for mine, was a disappointment last season, 10th and missed finals. It's going to be tough, though, for them to get back there, given the start to the season they've been handed.
They'll be keen to make an impact straight away, Geelong. But unfortunately for the Cats, they've got North Melbourne and Adelaide in rounds 1 and 2. Now, it is a 12-round season, which will help matters a little bit. But if you're going to be 0 and 2, that's going to make life pretty tough. You're going to be chasing tail there for a while. So the Cats have also had quite an injury-interrupted pre-season. Amy McDonald has been battling a foot complaint. She's now back, but she hasn't had the runs in the legs. So Chloe Shear, big question mark on whether we'll see her. One player, Sarah, who is fit and firing is Georgie Prespakis, the sister of Maddie. She had a quad issue that impacted her year last year, and can reveal that that quad went several times throughout the year that she was carrying. So it wasn't just a one-off, it continually kept re-tearing, just little tears along the way.
She's good to go now?
She is good to go, and she has been best of field in Geelong's 2 practice matches.
Nice, looking forward to seeing her out there. A player we won't see out there in round 1 for Hawthorn, though, is youngster Grace Bubba. And Bri, I'm going to get you to look at this vision. You haven't seen it before. She's been handed a 1-match ban for this hit on Laura McClelland, a Tiger in the practice match. This was off the ball. It's behind the goals vision. She gets her in the gut there. Handed a 1-match ban for that. This is a young player who hasn't debuted yet as a senior player. If this was to happen at Collingwood, what would your discussion be around this?
Look, it's a hard one because she's a kid, right?
Yeah.
But obviously there's competitiveness and toughness, and then there's probably reckless behaviour or actions, and it'd probably be that conversation. And just like, we love the competitiveness, mate, but you can't be throwing punches into people's gut for your own sake, because you're missing games, but for the team's sake as well. So I think it's more that, but also just putting an arm around her. It happens. Sometimes it's a lack of judgment or whatever it is, but I think it would also then be putting that supportive arm around her and being like, right, what have we learnt from this, and moving on from there.
Speaking of young players, there's some really young leaders now, Sarah, at the West Coast Eagles. Charlie Thomas and Bella Lewis, 21 and 22 years old. They've taken over for Emma Swanson. What's the club doing to support them there? Because they are very young.
I'm really impressed that the Eagles have done this, driven by Michelle Cowan, their head of footy. So Charlie is the youngest AFLW captain we have ever had at just 21 years old. They have partnered them up with Shannon Hearn and Luke Shuey, two champion Eagles and former captains in their own right, who are working at the club in various capacities in the men's program. This is a really structured mentor program. This isn't just like, oh, these guys are here for a chat if you need. They have locked in meetings. They have set questions they have to ask. The whole thing. It's almost like a little bit of classroom on the run from the Eagles, and I really love this one club approach.
I like that. It's a theme at the moment, the one club approach. Riley, you've got some more news. A crosscode star by the name of Liv Lewis. She plays for the Melbourne Mavericks, but she's made this sensational call.
Yeah, so she's gone to AFLW. She's now looking at opportunities. There's been just about every club in the competition, I reckon, has made contact with Liv Lewis, 184cm defender, won the Mavericks Defender of the Year award. I'm told she's informed clubs now that she'd prefer to stay in Victoria at the end of the season. I'm looking at clubs that have targeted crosscodes before, Geelong and Hawthorn, those types. But Collingwood, Essendon, Melbourne, North and Richmond have also asked the question of her.
Nice. We'll be watching that one very closely. I did mention off the top, though, the crystal ball. We'd be bringing it out. I'm throwing it over to you, Sarah, for your predictions. Hit us.
Off the top, this is a bit of pressure. Premier, I am going with the Brisbane Lions because there is nothing more dangerous than a wounded lion.
Ooh.
In the same vein, Brianna Conan is moving into the midfield, and I reckon she's an impact player. She can turn a game. It's a bit of a smoky there for AFL BNF. My big call, I can't even read that down there. I need my glasses checked. I think it was something along the lines of the Swans are going to double their wins.
It is,
from
correct.
memory.
You can read bottom.
A bit of a cop-out because they had quite a poor season last year, but I think they're going to double their wins this year.
I like it. Bri, your predictions, please.
Yep, so I think North will go back-to-back. I think they're just, super strong.
They'll be the first team to go back-to-back if they do.
Yeah, which is would be awesome to see. Obviously, other than the Pies, of course. Then Jazzy Garner, I think she'll get up for the BNF. I hope she does. I feel like she's due one.
Do the umpires know
one.
who she is?
Yeah,
Honestly,
well,
come
hopefully
on.
they listen to this. But yeah, I think she's due one. So I'd love to see her get up. And then I said it earlier in the show, but a sellout round one like we did 10 years ago or 10 seasons ago. Yeah.
Riley, your crystal ball, please.
I've gone with North to win the flag again, back to back. I reckon they'll go undefeated again as well. That's my hot tip. I've gone with Kate Hoare for the BNF.
I like
26 and 3 on the weekend, playing more midfield. I reckon Melbourne will win enough games for her to get enough votes. And my big call is I reckon the Cats make the grand final if they stay fit. If they stay fit. Had some injuries in the pre-season. If they stay fit, I reckon it's a North Geelong grand final.
Well, I'm going for North to be premiers as well. Something a little bit different for my BNF though, Ella Roberts. I was absolutely captivated by her last year and looking forward to see if she can back it up this year. And my big call is, guys, I thought we were doing like a headline. So I've said hamming it up, Montana Ham to lead the Swans into a finals tilt. So I'm with you there, Sarah. I think the draw might favour them as well. Guys, we are off and running. Bri, we hope it is a sellout on Thursday night. As you were saying, we've all got our tickets, but if you don't, please head to the link on the screen. We'll see you again next week on The W Show.